Southern comfort, true West Georgia pride, and the passion for fashion all saturate the Squire Shop located on Maple Street in Carrollton. April Harris recently graduated from the University of West Georgia just zero point 0.6 miles from the business itself and was an employee before taking the reins and steering the Squire Shop in a new direction. Let's take a look.
The Squire Shop was established in 1963 by Charles Willis and Larry Cooley. They were two UGA graduates, and they were both from Villa Rica but moved to Carrollton after graduating, and they aspired to open up a men's store. So they visited a men's store that was already located in Carrollton called Young's Men's Shop, and it was on the square. So the two guys, they were 24 years old, went into the store and talked to Mr. Young, and he said, you know what, why don't you boys just buy the store? That was in 1962. By 1963, the store was fully theirs, and they officially changed the name to the Squire Shop. Larry Cooley was a business partner for just a few years, and then he decided to move on to other things, but Charles Willis remained the owner from 1962-ish, I guess, until 2005 when I purchased it. The store was it's always been a finer menswear store. They really catered to, the prom crowd, weddings. They sold tons of suits. They were right downtown next to the courthouse. Store really, it has always been a part of my life. Well, I guess since I was about 17 years old, I started working here as a junior in high school. I had applied for the Squire Shop, but I'd never heard a call back. And one night I cheered at Carrollton High School. Charles Willis saw my parents and came up to him and talked to him, and he said, does April have a job right now? And they said, no, she actually applied at your store. And he said, have her come in on Monday and let's talk. So I went in, wore my best clothing because I was so scared because it was such a premier men's store, and went in and they hired me on the spot. Since then, the Squire Shop has always been such a special place to me. It was, they were family friends, but it was truly like a family here. Everyone that worked here was so close. We had tons of inside jokes. We got to meet tons of families, that were part of our community, which they kind of became our families as well. But it's always been such a positive place to work and so much fun. As times changed, they kind of got to be a little more casual. And Charles's health began to decline, and so finally he was ready to sell the business in about 2004, and I had just graduated from West Georgia, and I had moved off to Atlanta for another job, and then Charles called me one day and asked if I wanted to come back and work for them for just a little while, because at that point I thought they were just going out of business. Well, my first day back, Charles sat me down and he said, what would you think of purchasing the Squire Shop? And of course, this was a huge deal for me. This is, a landmark in Carrollton. So I said, let me go home, talk it over with my dad. And he worked at West Georgia at the time. And he said, well, how much is it going to cost? You've got to get your business plan together. And, we decided we would be partners in this business. The official date was July 1st of 2005. And my dad and I have owned the business ever since. The store has evolved so much. Charles, kind of his last wishes as an owner, he said, April, don't get into the suit business. At that time, companies had like casual Fridays, but it moved kind of to like casual Monday through Fridays for a lot of them. So we weren't selling suits anymore after we bought it. We had some sport coats and some dress pants, but mainly it was just casual. And in the beginning, I carried brands that I thought would kind of appeal to a lot of different people, but really kind of as our customers have evolved, we have evolved too. And I think a lot of stores get caught, a lot of business owners do, if they don't evolve with the customer. So I think that's something that we do well. In the past, it was harder for Charles to take our advice on new lines, and I really try to ask everyone that works here, what do you think? Let me know what the up and coming trends are, because, I always want to be on the front end of things because I feel like that's what makes business work. We are located on the square in Carrollton. We've actually been in several different locations for various reasons, but we were on the square. That felt like home to me as well, but our building was in such disrepair. It flooded every time it rained, so we knew that we had to find a new location, which was extremely scary for me. I kind of thought it was the end of the world, but my dad actually found the spot that we're in now, and this was actually just like a storage area. The windows were tinted. When I first looked in here, there was about 50 refrigerators, there was building siding, you know, it was just a wide open, you know, junk space. But he said, you know what, I think you can do something with this. So we had them clean it out, we laid out a floor plan, and so we designed it from the bottom up. And it was exciting for myself and my staff to, you know, kind of make our own home. It was like it was a new space, and it was scary, but I felt like it was a new beginning, and that was about 3 years ago.
Even though April thought it was the end of the world, it wasn't. Despite the Squire Shop moving to various locations, April and her father kept most of the original items, to include the original letters of the Squire Shop and pieces of furniture.
This is the original cabinet counter unit at the old store. We resurfaced it, you know, spruced it up a little bit, and we added pennies to the top, and there are over 7,000 pennies under this counter and that one, which I think is neat. The sign back here, the Squire Shop, these were the original letters of the Squire Shop. So we took them down, and I said, we've got to keep these and put them to good use. So we repainted them and put them as a backdrop. You know, we more than doubled our square footage. We really geared the store towards the tuxedo business, as far as having larger dressing rooms, sewing stations, ironing and pressing stations. But we've also this past year started our online store. For so many businesses, you know, this is beginning to be, you know, 25 to 50% of their business. And really, if nothing more than just the customer to be able to see what the store has online, and then they know when they go in the store, they have a better idea of what they want. But I feel like that's helped, so we will probably continue to work the online angle, but you never know what the future holds.
Thank you for watching The Squire Shop on WUTV's People and Profiles. I'm Kishon Kelly, and I will see you very soon.